I want to tell you about the best liar I've ever met. It was around 2 a.m. in Harlem. My partner and I got a call, possible domestic situation in a subway station. Where we got down there, a man was standing on the platform with a woman. He saw us coming and immediately walked toward us. Calm, polite, well spoken. He explained that his girlfriend was having a bad night. They had an argument, but everything was fine. She was standing behind him, nodding. He was cooperative, charming, even. Every surface level instinct says reasonable guy, bad night, move on. But at 2 a.m. in a subway station, I'm not going off surface level instincts. I noticed three things. First, she kept looking at him before she answered any question. I asked, not at me, at him, like she was checking for permission before she spoke. Second, when I stepped around him to talk to her directly, his body shifted to stay between us. Subtle, but on purpose. He was controlling the physical space. Third, he told me things I hadn't asked about. He volunteered where they've been that evening, who they've been with, what time they left. When people start answering questions you haven't asked, in my experience, they're building a cover story before you even know you need one. I separated them, talked to her alone on the other side of the platform. She had bruises on her upper arms, hidden under long sleeves in the middle of the summer, underground where nobody could see. She's been terrified, but this act was so smooth, so controlled, so normal that if I hadn't been trained to spot the signals, I would have wished them a good night and walked away, and she would have gone home with them. That night taught me something I've carried ever since. The most dangerous manipulators don't look dangerous. They look reasonable. They sound helpful. They make you feel like you're the crazy one for questioning them. And right now, in the middle of a war, an economic crisis, an election cycle, and an AI revolution, you are being manipulated every single day by politicians who want your vote, by media companies who want your attention, by computer programs designed to hijack your emotions. What tech people call algorithms, by an AI generated content that looks completely real, by salespeople, influencers, and yes, sometimes by people you trust. And most of you can't see it happening because nobody ever taught you how to look. Today, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to give you the same detection system I built over the years of reading people as an officer and in other situations and sizing up sales pitches as a Merrill Lynch wealth manager. I call it the radar method. And once you learn it, you'll never be manipulated the same way again. I'm Mike Aponte, also known as M.A. Aponte, and this is Thinking to Think. Before I teach you the framework, I need to show you what you're up against. Because what's happening in March 2026 in terms of manipulation is unlike anything in human history. And I'm not exaggerating. Let me show you. The European Digital Media Observatory has called the Iran conflict the first AI war. Not because AI is flying the drones, but because fake content made by artificial intelligence is being spread at a scale we've never seen during any armed conflict. Here's what the investigators have documented in just the first week of this war. On X, the platform that used to be called Twitter, investigators found a single person in Pakistan running 31 stolen accounts. All of them were renamed to things like Iran War Monitor and were posting AI made fake war videos. The accounts had been hacked and repurposed specifically to spread content that never happened. AI generated videos showed fake Iranian missiles striking on strikes on Tel Aviv, fake explosions at nuclear plants, and fake footage of public panic, none of which actually happened. One video that went viral claiming to show an Iranian strike on Tel Aviv was actually footage of a chemical warehouse explosion in Tianjin, China from 2015. A UN special reporter, that's high ranking United Nations official, posted what turned out to be a fake AI generated image of Kamani's body being pulled from rubble. When people called it out, he said the picture is not the issue. The facts are a separate UN representative posted an old photo of Iranians killed by their own government and claimed it showed children killed by the current strike. Both of them defending sharing misleading content after being caught. In open source intelligence investigation, that's when independent researchers use public available information to investigate things, abbreviated as OSINT, and identified over 7,500 coordinated accounts running a government aligned influence operation on X. This includes 510 accounts creating original content, 2,500 amplifying it, and the accounts posting over 500 times per day, a pace that's physically impossible for a real person. A major study also found that 76% of the manipulated content took real footage and moved it to a different time period. 71% used what researchers call misframing, putting real images next to false captions, and 63% took real content from one location and claimed it happened somewhere else. Only 15% was completely made up from scratch. Let me say that last number again because it's the most important one. Only 15% of the fake content was completely made up. The other 85% was real content, real footage, real images, real events presented with false explanations, false captions, or a false story around it. That's the game. They're not creating fiction from nothing. They're taking real things and repackaging them to tell a different story. And that's much harder to catch because the footage looks real, because it is real. It's the context that's the lie. And here's what makes this truly scary. The same tricks being used by governments and propaganda networks are also being used by regular people who just want clicks and ad money. X found that most of the fake war content wasn't even politically motivated. It was people gaming the system, posting rage bait to earn money from views. They don't care which side you're on. They care that you're angry because anger equals clicks and clicks equal cash. But don't think manipulation is limited to wartime. Right now, in your everyday life, the salesperson is creating fake urgency to make you buy something you don't need. The offer expires at midnight. It doesn't. A social media influencer is promoting a product that got paid to endorse without telling you it's an ad, using fake scarcity. These are selling out fast. A political commentator is a cherry picking data, showing you only the numbers that support their argument to make you afraid because fear gets you to share their content. Fear drives engagement better than anything else. An email in your inbox is designed to look exactly like your bank's formatting to trick you into handing over your password. This is what security experts call phishing, phishing. And someone in your personal life, a boss, a friend, maybe a romantic partner, maybe using emotional manipulation so subtle you can't even put your finger on what feels wrong. You just know something is off. With all these have in common, from government propaganda to pushy car salesmen, is that they exploit the same set of mental shortcuts your brain uses to get through the day. Your brain takes shortcuts to make quick decisions. That's normal and usually helpful. But manipulators have figured out how to use those shortcuts against you. Once you see which shortcut is being exploited, the manipulation loses its powers. That's what the radar method is designed for. The radar method is built on the research of Dr. Robert Cialdini, a psychologist who spent 35 years studying how and why people say yes to things. He figured out the core principles that drive people to comply, agree, and go along. I've taken his academic research and run it through my experience on the streets of New York and the trading floor of Wall Street. to turn it into something you can use right now. Today, each letter in radar stands for a manipulation pattern and a specific question you can ask to catch it. R, reciprocity traps. Here's the basic idea: when someone does something for you, your brain feels a powerful pull to give something back. This is built into us from thousands of years of evolution. Groups that helped each other survive, groups that didn't went extinct. That pull to return a favor is natural and mostly good. Psychologists call it reciprocity. The manipulation happens when someone gives you something first: a gift, a favor, a compliment, free information, specifically to create a feeling of debt they can collect on later. That's a reciprocity trap. On the streets of New York, drug dealers give free samples to first-time users. That's not kindness. It's a reciprocity trap. The free sample creates a feeling of owing them and a physical craving. Two hooks for the price of one. At Merrill Lynch, financial salespeople would take potential clients to expensive dinners, give them free investment analysis, send them holiday gifts, all before asking for the sale. The client feels like they owe something before the pitch even starts. He took me to a $300 dinner. I should at least hear him out. That's the trap working. In your feed right now, influencers give you free value, free trips, free guides, free mini courses to build that feeling of debt. Most of the time, this is legitimate and helpful. But when the free content is designed to make you anxious about a problem that only their paid product can fix, you're in a reciprocity trap dressed up as generosity. The detection question: did I ask for this, or did it show up without me requesting it? Is what you should ask. If someone is giving you something you didn't ask for, ask yourself what they might want in return. The bigger the unsolicited gift, the bigger the ask, and that's coming. A, authority exploitation. The basic idea: we naturally listen to and obey people we see as experts or authority figures. This usually works fine. Your doctor knows more about medicine than you do, so you follow their advice. Psychologists call this authority principle. The manipulation happens when someone borrows, fakes, or inflates their authority to get you to stop thinking and just go along with. As an NYPD officer, I wore a uniform. That uniform gave me instant authority. People did what I asked without questioning. Most of the time, the authority was real and necessary. But I also saw people dress up as officers, security guards, and utility workers to get into homes and businesses. The uniform was the manipulation tool. They were borrowing authority they didn't have. In wartime propaganda, right now, you're seeing accounts with official surrounding names like Iran War Monitor and graphics that look like real networks. Um, they look like they have authority. They use the visual language of journalism, breaking news banners, professional titles, slick formatting. But as the investigation revealed, many of these are stolen accounts run by random individuals thousands of miles away, gaming the system. The UN official I mentioned, someone with actual real authority, shared an AI generated fake image to defend it by saying the picture is not the issue. That's a quote. But for the millions of people who saw the image before the correction, the weight of the UN title made the fake image feel true. Real authority was used to wash fake information clean. That's what makes authority exploitation so dangerous. It uses trust against you. So here's the detection question. Excuse me. Does this person actually have expertise in the specific thing they're talking about? Or are they borrowing authority from a title, a uniform, or a platform? A heart surgeon is an authority on heart surgery. That doesn't make them the authority on whether war is justified. A four-star general is an authority on military strategy. That doesn't make them an authority on whether the war is morally right. Authority only counts in the specific area where the person earned it. When someone uses it outside that area, your radar should go off. D. Desperation and urgency manufacturing. The basic idea when something feels like it's running out of time is almost up, we make faster decisions and think less carefully. This is natural. If there's one seat left on the lifeboat, you don't sit down and make a pros and cons list. The manipulation happens when someone creates fake urgency or fake scarcity to pressure you into acting before you have time to think. Psychologists call this manufactured urgency. This one almost got me at Merrill. There's a sales technique where you tell a client, I've only got 3 spots left in this investment strategy, or the price goes up Friday. Sometimes it was true, but often the urgency was completely made up to prevent the client from being one thing that would kill the sale, taking 24 hours to think about it. And by the way, for the record, what I mean by spots left in the investment, I'm referring to IPOs, and there is a limit on that. In wartime, we had to act now or Iran would have a nuclear weapon in weeks. That urgency justified the timing of the strikes. But as we discussed in my previous episode that was just last week, America's own Director of National Intelligence said Iran had not restarted its weapons program, and the IAEA, the world's nuclear watchdog, said Iran wasn't days or weeks away from a bomb. The urgency may have been real, or it may have been manufactured to stop people from asking hard questions. A clear thinker asks, who benefits from me not having time to think? In your everyday life, sale ends tonight. Limited seats available. Act now or lose your chance. Every time you feel pressure to decide right now, that's urgency manufacturing. Here's the truth: real opportunities don't disappear because you slept on it. Only manipulation requires speed. This connection is directly to an episode I had 2 weeks ago regarding manipulation and the clear protocol and the hold protocol. All of this is on my Substack. Again, if for those of you that are new to this, I highly recommend you go there. I have the 24-hour rule in your shield against urgency manipulation. And any decisions worth making today is worth making tomorrow. If someone gets angry or pushes harder when you ask for time to think, that's the biggest red flag of all. The detection question you should always ask in this: what happens if I wait 24 hours? If the answer is nothing changes, the urgency was fake. If something or someone pressures you more when you ask for time, they're not protecting you, they're preventing you from thinking. A. Anchoring and framing manipulation. So, this is the second A in radar. The basic idea: the first piece of information you see becomes measuring stick for everything that comes after it. Your brain grabs onto the first number, the first image, the first headline, and uses it as a starting point for every judgment you make from there. Psychologists calls this anchoring. It's like dropping an anchor in the water. Everything stays close to where it landed. The manipulation happens when someone controls what you see first in order to steer every conclusion you reach afterward. We covered anchoring with money in the episode regarding crisis and money, um, how the original price controls whether a sale price feels like a deal, but anchoring works everywhere. In wartime propaganda, remember when we talked about regarding um, the Iranian crisis, where you start the story determines your conclusion. Starting in 1979 anchors you to think Iran started this. If you're starting in 1953, anchors you into believing America started this. Every news outlet, every politician, every social media post is choosing a starting point to anchor your thinking before your analysis ever begins. That study of AI war propaganda found that 71% of the manipulated content used what researchers call misframing, real images paired with false captions, The image anchors your emotional reaction. The caption steers your conclusion. By the time you find out the caption was wrong, the emotional anchor has already been set. Your brain already feels a certain way, and feelings are much harder to reverse than facts. At Merrill Lynch, every investment presentation led with the best looking numbers. This fund returned 22% last year. That number anchors the whole conversation, makes the fund feel like a winner before you've asked a single question. What they didn't lead with is it lost 15% the year before. The anchor shapes the story before your thinking even starts. So, your detection question: what am I not being shown? What would change my mind if I saw it first? Every piece of information comes with a frame around it, like a picture frame that shows you some things and cuts off others. The question isn't whether it's framed, everything is. The question is who chose the frame and what did they leave outside of it? R. Reframing and gaslighting. The basic idea: if you can change how someone understands what happened, you can change what they believe happened. The manipulation: when someone gets caught in a lie or you bring up a real concern, they don't deny it. They flip the conversation so that you become the problem for bringing it up. Psychologists call this reframing. And when it's done repeatedly to make you doubt your own sense of reality, it's called gaslighting. This is the one I see most often in personal relationships and at work. It's the most psychologically damaging because it makes you question whether you can trust your own eyes and ears. And I must admit, it is my biggest pet peeve for me personally in my own life. On the streets, when I am confronted that the man in Harlem subway station and separated him from his girlfriend, you know what he said? She's very emotional. She overreacts to everything. I'm the calm one here. He flipped the story so that her fear was the problem, not his violence. If I hadn't been trained to see this move, his version of events could have worked. That's reframing in its most dangerous form. In wartime, the UN official who shared the fake AI image, when corrected, said the picture is not the issue. The facts are. That's reframe. Instead of owning up to the fact that they're sharing unverified content hurts their credibility, the conversation got redirected to you're missing the bigger point. That's the gaslighting move. Make the person who caught the lie feel like they're the unreasonable one. In your personal life, watch for these phrases. They're almost always reframing attempts. You're overreacting. That's not what happened. You're too sensitive. I never said that. You're taking this out of context. Why are you making this a bigger deal? Each one of is designed to make you doubt what you saw, heard, or felt instead of addressing the actual issue you raised. And here's the detection question, excuse me. Am I suddenly defending myself instead of talking about the original problem? If I had a conversation and started with you raising a concern and somehow ended it with you apologizing or feeling like you're losing your mind, you've been reframed. Go back to the original issue. Don't let the frame shift. Now, let me show you how to use all five of these in real time. This is the 5-minute radar scan. You can run it on any piece of content, any sales pitch, any conversation, any relationship that feels off. When you run into something that's trying to influence you, a news article, a social media post, a salesperson, a politician, a friend asking for a favor, run through these 5 questions. Reciprocity. Did I ask for this? Or was it given to me to create a feeling of debt? Authority. Does this person actually have expertise in this specific area? Or are they borrowing authority from a title or a platform? Desperation. What happens if I wait 24 hours? Is the time pressure real or manufactured? Anchoring. What am I not being shown? What got left outside the frame? Reframing. Am I suddenly defending myself instead of talking about the original issue? Let me show you how this works with a real example from this week I saw on social media post that said something like, if you don't support our troops, you're anti American. And share this if you stand with our soldiers. Let's run the radar scan. Reciprocity. The post gives me an easy way to show I'm patriotic. Just hit share. In exchange, it gets spread to my whole network. My patriotism is the currency being traded. Authority. Who posted this? Is it a veterans organization, a military family, or an account that looks official but has no real connections to the military? In many cases, these are engagement farming accounts, pages set up purely to generate shares and revenue, not actual advocacy. Desperation. There's built in urgency, share now, and social punishment. If you don't share, the implication is you're anti American. That's urgency plus shame. Anchoring. The frame is support troops versus anti American. But those aren't the only two options. You can support service members and question whether a specific military action was smart. The anchor wipes out any middle ground on a purpose. Reframing. If the question if you question the post, the response will be, why don't you support our troops? Your question about the post becomes a question about your patriotism. The original issue, whether the content is accurate or helpful, disappears. That whole scan took less than 2 minutes, and once you see it, you can unsee it. The manipulation becomes see through, not because the person who shared it is evil. Most people share manipulative content without realizing it, but the structure of the content was designed to get past your thinking brain. The radar scan puts your thinking brain back in charge. And as a little special note, if you keep practicing this, it will become so natural that you will no longer have to think radar. It will just happen. So here's your homework for this week. For 3 days before you share, like, or comment on anything on social media, run the 5 question radar scan. Every post, every article, every video, keep a count on how many times you catch a manipulation attempt. I predict you'll find it over half of what you see, not because of everyone is deliberately lying to you, but because the structure of social media, the algorithm, the incentive system, the format naturally rewards content that uses these techniques. Content that manipulates your psychology outperforms content that respects it. That's the game. And here's the powerful part. Once you start catching it in your feed, you'll start catching it everywhere in sales meetings and political speeches and your boss's feedback and your partner's arguments. The manipulation patterns are the same, no matter where you find them. Only the settings change. I want to close with this most important application of all, your personal relationships. Because the manipulation that does the most damage in your life isn't coming from a government or a computer program. It's coming from people you know. I'm not saying everyone around you is a manipulator, obviously. Most people aren't, but manipulation exists on a range. And most of us have dealt with or are currently dealing with at least one person who uses these patterns regularly. A boss who creates a fake urgency to keep you from questioning a decision, a friend who gives gifts as a way to put you in their debt, a partner who flips every disagreement so that you end up apologizing for being upset. As a school director and principal, I see these patterns every day between parents, between staff members, sometimes between the students who've picked up manipulation habits from the adults in their lives. And the radar method works the same way in a staff meeting as it does on your phone. Your personal radar homework, think of one relationship where something consistently feels off, but you can't explain it. Why? Run the radar scan on your last 3 interactions with that person. Which pattern shows up the most? Next time someone pushes you for an immediate decision and you feel pressured, say these exact words. Let me think about that and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Then watch their reaction. If they respect it, they respect you. If they push harder, they're manipulating you. For 1 week before you share anything online, ask, am I sharing this because it's true and useful or because it triggered an emotional reaction and I want other people to feel it too? If it's the second one, put the phone down. Here's what we covered today. We looked at the manipulation landscape that's unlike anything in human history. AI generated fake videos, stolen propaganda accounts, government run influence networks, and the weaponizing of real content through false context. We learned the radar method, reciprocity traps when free gifts create debts, authority exploitation when titles and uniforms replace thinking, desperation and urgency manufacturing when speed replaces careful thought, anchoring and framing manipulation when what you see first controls what you conclude, and reframing and gaslighting when raising a real concern gets flipped into you being the problem. We applied it to war propaganda, sales tactics, and personal relationships, and I give you the 5 question scan that takes less than 2 minutes and works on any attempt to influence you. That's your homework. Run the radar scan on everything you encounter for 3 days. Keep a count, share your number with someone. I bet it shocks you. The radar method worksheet, including the 5 detection questions, a printable pocket reference card, and 1 week tracking a sheet, is available free on my Substack at maaponte.substack.com. That's maaponte.substack.com. The complete manipulation defense toolkit, including a full breakdown of 12 advanced manipulation techniques with real world example, is available to paid subscribers. My Udemy course will be walking you through the entire critical thinking system from the ground up. That is coming soon. So please subscribe to Thinking to Think and my free Substack. So this way you stay in the know. Next week, how to change anyone's mind. Now that you know how manipulation works, I'm going to teach you the ethical version, how to actually persuade people using evidence, empathy, and respect instead of tricks. This is the skill I use to calm down dangerous situations as an NYPD officer, to move stubborn clients at Merrill Lynch, and to turn a parent who hated me into a partner at my school, all with 5 words. Tell me about your son. It's the shift method, and it would change everything, every conversation you have had for the rest of your life. Don't miss it, please. Subscribe, put the alert once it posts. Until then, trust your radar. If something feels off, it probably is, and keep thinking. I'm Mike Aponte, also known as M.A. Aponte, and this is Thinking to Think.